The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey guys, we have Kiko here again.
What's up?
How's your Christmases?
My Christmas was good. It was blurry. My Christmas Eve was very blurry.
Very blurry.
Don't think it's really drunk.
I literally okay, hear me
Oh,
out.
sorry. Was that supposed to be a secret?
I took one Christmas picture. Hold on, wait, you want to see it?
Yeah, you're probably like this.
Wait, hold on. This is like the singular picture that I took.
Yeah, I'm dead.
I love that
It
for
is
you.
literally a blurry photo.
It's just a blurry picture of Mark. Oh, wait. Okay. And then Christmas Day. Okay. So Christmas Day, I don't know why, but Mark and I were sitting there. We ended up talking about number neighbors. Did you guys do number neighbors?
Yes.
No.
I reached out to mine and they never texted back. Fucks.
What's a number neighbor?
So it's
The next number.
Yeah.
The next number in your.
Yeah.
it's like one. It's like one number up or one number down from your phone number.
I've never done that. Yeah.
I hadn't done
well,
it
I
either.
did too, and they didn't reach out to me.
So I texted a completely random number from like somewhat the area. I used the first 6 numbers that are the
And then
same
you
as mine.
changed the last one.
Yeah. No, I changed the last 4.
Oh.
So I texted them.
Oh, I should have did that.
This was
I changed the fucking last number. That's it.
well, no, because that is the number neighbor
Oh.
situation. I just didn't want to do that because
You're
because
not
then I
wrong.
feel like people would know.
You probably
They'd be
got a
like,
response.
right, and I did.
Oh.
So I text this person on Christmas. I was a couple wines in. This was at 4:10, so you know I'm like a little tipsy.
Yeah, we love
So I texted. I said, "Merry Christmas! You won't believe what Tina did last night. Thank goodness you left when you did. LOL. I have your casserole dish. I'll send it with Ron."
I'll send it with Ron.
So I'm expecting like no text message back, but it was a blue text, so I was like, okay, it's possible that this is an existing number and it's an iPhone. So I sent that at 4:10. 2 whole minutes later, I get a text back that says, "Oh my God, what did Tina do?"
Oh my God, they're interested.
They
They
were
were
like-
yes, I need to know.
Right. They said, let me know.
So I didn't say anything, but I sent this picture.
I love that. What did they say?
So for those who can't see this, which is literally everybody, I just sent a picture of like a china cabinet and it's broken, but there's like Christmassy shit in there. I literally just Googled broken
Right.
china cabinet.
I love that for you.
And I found one that had Christmas plates in it, so it worked out. And then the person texted back and said, "That Tina's a wild one. Also, I think you have the wrong number."
Oh, no.
So I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought this was Carla Ann. Merry Christmas to you if you celebrate."
Carla Ann.
This person texted me back and said, "Merry Xmas to you and your family as well. Good luck with the broken glass and controlling Tina."
Controlling Tina.
Dead. I was fucking dead. So somehow Mark's like, I wonder who this person is, because he's like, it seems like it's a younger person because they were playing along, but also
Yeah.
being
Right.
polite,
Yeah.
thinking that I'm probably a middle-aged suburban mom who has a china cabinet that looks like that. And Mark looked up this kid. Ends up being a kid who's our age. He's like in his 20s. He went to a local college.
Wow. Wait,
and
how did he find his number, his name?
he literally looked in. He did like a reverse search of the phone number and it came up.
What?
Yeah, and it was
that
kinda-
Mark. He's
it-
so
I wonder
smart.
if he did it to you.
True.
Like of who the number actually was.
I've searched my phone number before and it doesn't come
Oh,
up.
does it?
His,
that's good.
because he was an athlete, I don't know why, but his thing came up and it had all of his like information.
info.
I guess he's a college athlete. I don't fucking know. Love this picture. Love this picture for me. If you guys want to see a picture of me in the Holly
Oh, we
Jolly
love that for
spirit.
you.
With
Go to the Patreon. It'll be there.
Wait, my number is a number
dear
in here.
God. Okay, well I'm gonna have to edit that out because literally anybody can Google that and then find your number.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm not very smart.
Forget everything I just said.
Wait, so I said 2 bricks short of a house and no one knew what it meant.
2 bricks short of a house. You're 2.
Like not the sharpest knife in the.
What the fuck? I was like 2 bricks short of a house. Like, what the fuck?
Like almost there. Not
Okay,
quite.
exactly.
2 fries short of a Happy Meal, if you will. I feel that. I didn't really get in the holiday spirit this year.
I don't
Me
feel like I
either.
did either.
I think it's just because I got a lot going on that are keeping me out of the holiday
Okay,
spirit.
same.
But it just flew by. Like, I really feel like we just put up my Christmas tree and now we're going to have to take it down.
It definitely did fly by. I mean, I don't celebrate the holidays like that, but I feel like I'm always...
Right.
Maybe because I was working in retail before and it felt so long.
That's very true. That's very true. Because it was literally like day after Halloween. November 1st is when, at the mall, when I was working there, they would fucking bring all the wreaths out literally overnight. And I would come in the next day and I was like, holy shit, is this how y'all spent Halloween?
Christmas music, as I almost said mucus.
Yeah.
Christmas mucus. You're not wrong. Shit makes you feel sick.
The good old Christmas mucus. Oh, God. Okay. Hi, guys. This is Esoteric, Oddities. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Kiko.
And we've got a cute little episode for you. We don't really have a topic. I'm pretty sure both of ours are like murders.
Yeah.
Only because you briefly talked about yours. But
I was like giving him all the facts.
Right? We were sitting there and I was just like, well, wait, shut up. Like, we're going to fucking talk about it in a second. So just make sure you stay to the end of the episode because we do have some important things.
We have a special announcement
to let you guys know. Do you want to
I'll just jump right in.
Start us off.
So I got most of my information from ThoughtCo, but this is a story about Elizabeth Diane Fredrickson Downs. That's probably the last time I'm going to say her full name because she starts to go as Diane Downs halfway through the story.
Right, and she's a bitch. So.
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
She's a scary girl with... She looks
bitchy
like she's
tendencies.
got some peach fuzz there, but we love that, keeping it gender neutral.
Jesus.
All right. So Diane Downs was born on August 7th, 1955. So this bitch is a Leo. She was born
oh God,
Phoenix, Arizona. She was the oldest of 4 children. Her parents, Wes and Willa Dean, moved the family to different towns until Wes, her father, got a stable job with the U.S. Postal Service when Diane was around 11 years old. Now, the Fredricksons, they were a conservative family, and until the age of 14, Diane seemed to follow her parents' rules. I feel like when you put, when you restrict your kids with all these rules, they turn out fucking crazy.
Yeah, when they get to college.
I had a friend in high school, her mom was, big on making her clean, and her locker at high school was just, so fucking messy. And I was like, this is because your mom forces you to clean at home.
Listen, we saw the fucking city chew people up and spit them out.
Okay. I still see her things on Venmo, and she's living her life, going to Vegas, and I'm like, girl, you need to not be doing that.
I mean, I'm sure she's better now, but
let's hope for the best.
When you're 20 and you live in Bumblefuck, Pennsylvania, and you live under a strict household, and then you leave and go to North Philly for the first time, and all restraints are off, and
she ain't never coming back.
Access
she did not.
to anything is easy,
right?
Yeah.
So, when Diane entered her teen years, a more defiant Diane came about. She struggled to fit in with the in crowd at school, much of which meant going against the wishes of her parents. So, she's trying to be cool. She's conservative. So, that's already a nick off the shit because who likes that?
Right.
I don't give a fuck. So
you said that's a nick off the shit.
It's just a nick off the shit. I mean, you get 1 point for that. Ooh,
that's a nick.
It's kind of 10 points.
Oh, for Gryffindor.
Yeah.
10 points.
So at age 14, Diane dropped her formal name Elizabeth, and she started going with her middle name Diane. She got rid of her childish haircut, and she went with a trendy, shorter, bleached blonde look. Ooh. She began wearing clothes that were more stylish and showed off her figure.
Oh.
She also began a relationship with Steve Downs. He was a 16-year-old boy who lived across the street from her. Her parents didn't approve, but she was being a rebel, so she went against it. She didn't really care, and by the time she was 16, their relationship had become sexual.
Oh, no.
Right. So after high school, Stephen, which is her husband, he joined the Navy, and Diane attended the Pacific Coast Baptist Bible College. Now, don't ask me why she attended a religious school, because she was already veering off of that, but
well, maybe she just wanted to keep her faith, but she didn't want to be so in the box. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
But
or maybe she got that was the only place her parents would send her with
not
money,
wrong. They
or
probably
maybe
paid for it.
Maybe she got a scholarship or something. I don't know.
You're not wrong.
But
Here
I get
am.
what you're saying. She's not trying to be that. So I get what you're saying. Right.
So when he went to the Navy and she went to college, they promised to stay faithful to each other, but Diane had a problem, and she failed at that, and 1 year after school, she was expelled for being promiscuous.
Oh no, Diane.
So she lost her virginity, and she said, okay, who's next?
Oh, Dirty Diane.
I love that. You should title us Dirty Diana.
Okay, I might.
Or Dirty Diane.
Yeah.
After high school... I already read that. So their long-distance relationship seemed to survive, and in November 1973, with Stephen now home from the Navy, they decided to get married. Honestly, the start of the marriage was already bad. They were fighting about money problems, and Stephen was accusing Diane of cheating because she already cheated before.
Right.
And Diane would also often leave Stephen to go to her parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, like, what the fuck?
To her parents.
Okay. So in 1994, despite the problems, they did what every straight couple does. What do? They have a child.
Ooh, gotta keep that family together. Nothing keeps it together quite like a child acting as a staple.
Okay. So the first child, her name is Christy. 6 months later, Diane joined the Navy, but she returned home after 3 weeks of basic training because of severe blisters.
What?
Right, I don't know.
I got them too, bitch.
Okay, she later admitted that the real reason she got out of the Navy was because Stephen was neglecting Christy, their daughter, and having a child did not seem to help the marriage. Oh, look at that.
No
It
fucking
didn't?
shit.
Okay.
It didn't just solve all their problems by adding a whole
baby to their already
crying
money
baby?
problems and infidelity.
Hmm.
But Diane enjoyed being pregnant. That's how you know she was a psycho.
Oh. Well, I don't
then-
know. Some people enjoy it. I've also heard the complete opposite.
I just like sometimes I get really stoned and like think about like having a child, and I'm like,
It's a lot. I
like
can't
this,
imagine it.
It's like
a lot
growing in
of
your
literal
stomach,
labor.
and it's like stretching it,
Yeah.
and you have to stretch your vagina to like let it out. I don't know.
Not every time I was a C-section.
Oh.
I clawed my way out.
Either.
I know it's a lot.
Like,
But
it's scary. But I want to have a child.
right, to those who can have children, that's like
It is
women's
a
body. I mean, bodies are crazy, but women's
Women's
bodies
bodies.
are.
Oh yeah.
They be stretching.
What?
A temple.
Diane enjoyed being pregnant, and in 1975, their second child, Cheryl Lynn, was born.
All right.
Raising 2 kids was enough for Stephen, and he had a vasectomy.
Wait.
God.
Oh, okay. After that, the
Yeah,
second.
he was
oh,
like, 2
yeah.
kids, I'm done. But this didn't stop Diane from getting pregnant again. But this
Oh.
time, she decided to have an abortion. She named the aborted child Carrie. But Diane loves being pregnant, so in 1978, the Downs moved to Mesa, Arizona, where they both found jobs at a mobile home factoring company. There is where Diane began having affairs with some of the male coworkers, and she was pregnant.
Wait, hold on. So, by her third child, was that? I'm assuming fathered by somebody else.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
And we're just gonna kind of.
She's like a serial impregnator.
Yeah, something.
Interesting.
She's like likes being pregnant. So, in December 1979, Stephen Danny Downs was born, and Stephen accepted the child even though he knew he was not the father.
Why is he still with her?
I have no idea.
I can't judge, but I got questions.
Yeah.
But
So the marriage lasted about a year more until 1980 when Stephen and Diane decided to divorce. It's about fucking time. Y'all should have did it 2 kids ago.
Right.
When the third kid was after his vasectomy.
Okay. Diane spent a few years moving in and out with different men, having affairs with married men, and at the time trying to reconcile with her husband.
Just
A mess.
Why don't they have another kid?
Okay, that would just fix everything. Well, they can't because he had a vasectomy.
Sure, okay, you're right.
So to help support herself, she decided to become a surrogate mother, but failed 2 psychiatric exams during the application. So one of the tests showed that Diane was very intelligent, but she was also psychotic.
Oh.
A fact that she found funny and would brag to friends about.
You know,
Right, I'm
was
just
a
a psycho.
they're just like, Marjorie, where's your bathroom? Is it across the
Pass me
street
the
by my
sperm
car?
donor.
Oh my god.
It's like in that Britney Spears, ha ha he he ha ha ho.
Yeah.
If you seek Elizabeth.
Okay, if you
Diane.
seek fucking Diane.
Oh no.
If you seek Diane.
Why didn't she just go by Lizzie? That would have been like you could strip of your Elizabeth
like-
name
Right.
and just be Lizzie.
Lizzie is cute and
I
fun.
really wish I
Yeah.
knew.
Lizzie's cute and fun and has a crimper.
Yeah, and like Diane makes you seem like a little wee.
Right.
So, in 1981, Diane got a full-time job as a postal carrier for the U.S. Post Office. The children stayed with Diane's parents most of the time, or Stephen, or with Danny's father. I don't really know who Danny is.
Danny's the kid.
You remember?
Danny's the successful third kid that the third child was
right,
aborted.
that's what they used to call him.
The
See,
fourth.
why do they love calling people by their middle names
I
in
don't
this
know.
family? Because his name is Stefan.
We've already had this discussion. That's weird to me. I mean, if you're out there and you go by your middle name, like that's when you do you. But like, it's when the parents start calling you by your middle name. It's like if you just wanted that to be my first,
just put it as the middle name. But I don't know. It says Stefan, but I don't know if they meant Steven. I don't know.
Is it S-T-E?
No, it's P-H-E-N.
That's Steven.
How?
Steven.
Why isn't S-T-E-V-E-N?
Because people spell it differently.
Well, what's Stefan?
Like Siobhan looks like
Siobhan.
Right. Siobhan.
Wait, but why wouldn't they? Wait, but what's Stefan then? The same
Is
way.
Stefan a name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Curry.
Steph Curry with the shot, boy.
What the shit?
I can't. Let's just call him Ste.
Okay.
Ste.
Ste.
Maybe that's why they went by the middle name. They were like, nobody's going to be able to figure it out.
You're not wrong. I really feel like this is it, because what the fuck is it even? Anywho, when the children did stay with Diane, neighbors voiced concerns about their care. The children were often seen. They were hungry. And they weren't dressed like for the weather. Like it'd be like cold out, and she'd have them in fucking t-shirts.
Right, so like neglect.
Right, and the kids would often ask like, neighbors for food.
Literally me.
Okay.
I remember I would go over to my friend Andrew's house, and he always had the fucking cheese puffs. We never had the fucking cheese puffs.
I don't think this is a similar situation.
Yes, it is. I am comparing my struggles and my lack of cheesy. Every fucking suburban house in America had that.
And I didn't.
Had that cheesy puff on top of the fridge. They had it in the barrel.
Yeah, or the pretzels. Yeah.
They had that, and I
did
said,
puff
"I
and
want
pretzels.
that. I want that right now, Mrs. Andrews' mom." And I would get it every time. And then she would put on Doug.
Well, in this case, if Diane was able to find a sitter, she would still go to work, and she would leave her 6-year-old Christy in charge.
Oh no, of the rest of the children.
Yeah,
Oh, my
of everyone.
fucking God.
That's why she probably oftentimes went without one.
Okay, I will say it is fucked up that in this country that shit's not accessible, because in a lot of other countries it is.
Yeah.
It's easier and cheaper to get care.
It should be, but everything that should be in America is not, sir.
Right. But I'm also not giving her the pass, because I know that this story goes south pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sir, in the later part of 1981, Diane finally was accepted into a surrogate program, and she was paid $10,000 after successfully carrying a child to term. After the experience, she decided to open her own surrogate clinic. But the venture,
that was extreme.
Listen, it failed quickly, so y'all don't have to worry.
Okay. What's a surrogate clinic? Is that where she would like take in other people, or she would just be like, hey,
so
it's
she
me.
would run it, and she would like make sure that probably everyone that was fucking psycho would get in, because she was probably like, this was my feet.
Oh my God. Or she's just like, I'm the surrogate. The clinic is my pussy.
No, it was honestly
one.
she opened one of those fucking clinics like the holidays, that episode, the Mother's Day episode.
No, I don't like it.
I feel like that's what the fuck she would open, because she was literally crazy. So it was during this time that Diane met her coworker Robert Knickerbocker. The man of her dreams. Their relationship was all consuming.
Wait, did he go by Nick?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Honestly.
Sarah, you picked the one story in the history of any time, place on earth that everybody's going by their middle name, and it just blows my mind. Okay, so Nick
So she was consumed by this relationship. Diana wanted Knickerbocker to leave his wife. That's what it said. She was feeling suffocated by her demands as a mom, and she was still in love, but Nick was still in love with his wife, but he ended the relationship anyway.
With his wife?
Yeah, because
her.
Yeah, because Diane was feeling suffocated in her life, so in turn she was suffocating him with being like, leave your life, leave your wife. Leave your life, might as well have been, honestly. So, I lied. So Nick ended the relationship with Diane.
Oh, okay.
Not
okay, gotcha.
his wife.
That makes sense.
Yes. So
that's what I would have said. I would have been like, why don't you just like
leave me
nip
alone.
it in the butt?
Okay, so Diane's devastated. She moves back to Oregon, but she had
Oregon.
Oregon? Is it Oregon?
We always get called out for this. Oregon.
Oh, fuck.
No, but it's not just you. I called that to him like, Oregon.
Oregon.
Why is it so fucking
I
hard
don't
to say?
know. I really wish I knew. But,
Oregon.
I used to say, instead
Oregon.
of Tucson, I would say Tuscan.
That's my
I
favorite
said
one.
it. I've
At
definitely
least I call it Tucson.
right. I've definitely called it Tuscan on this very podcast
Tuscan.
before.
On this very
Tuscan, Arizona. But no, I want to go to Tucson and I want to like stay in the desert and I want to like go on like one of those trips where you just like leave your phone and it's gonna be fine.
And then you get kidnapped and they can't.
I don't.
find you
I
because
don't
you're
mean like
home.
leave my phone, but I don't want to like
Be on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
you know.
Love that.
So no one
Some
steal my
peace.
fucking idea. If you go to Tucson and you treat it as like a not being on your phone thing, I know you fucking copied.
Because Sarah's the only person who has ever thought about that. So keep your fucking
Don't.
retreats to yourself.
No, I'm just kidding.
And
I
if
hope
you do it,
y'all
you better-
have
Fucking
fun.
lube didn't get delivered, and now they have to re-ship it.
Is that
That's
what you're
annoying.
stressing about on your phone? Is that you're
Me.
I
lubing?
just got my emails that they're re-shipping it with expedited shipping.
I can't. Did you get one of those like KY jelly giant buckets?
No,
You know they
Is
sell
it for
got
them.
your,
this
is it for
new,
your
like-
ass?
no, it's just
Oh.
like a personal lubricant. I mean, you can use it for your ass.
Listen.
Yeah, you can use it for
One
wherever.
time, I
It's
got a
by
butt
Lola.
plug stuck in my ass.
You got
a butt plug stuck.
Oh, I just clenched.
Uh huh.
I did right
You know
now.
how that feels.
Oh my god.
It was bad.
but it's like this organic lubricant.
Not sponsored, guys, but check it out.
But
I'll
you
leave a
know,
affiliate
it's gonna
link.
be my first time.
I
I'll
love
let you
that.
know.
Let us know. Review it.
Yeah, we want to follow up on that with pictures. Okay, where were we at before we got into
Our
the butt
yawn.
plugs?
Okay. So Diane, she's devastated. She moves back to Oregon. She had not fully accepted that the relationship with Nick was over, but she continued to write to him and had one final visit on in April 1983. But Nick rejected her, telling her that the relationship was over and that he had no interest in being a daddy to her children.
Oh.
I wouldn't either.
All right, y'all, it's about to get real.
Oh god. Okay.
On May 19th, 1983, around 10 p.m., Diane pulled over on the side of the road. It was quiet. It was near Springfield, Oregon, and she shot her 3 children multiple times. She then shot herself in the arm and drove slowly to Mackenzie Willamette Hospital. The hospital staff found Cheryl dead, and Danny and Christy were barely alive. Diane told the doctors and the police that the children were shot by a bushy-haired man who flagged her down on the road and then tried to hijack her car. When she refused, the man began to shoot her children. Detectives found Diane's story suspicious and her reactions to the police questioning and to hearing the conditions of her 2 children inappropriate and odd. Kind of like John Bonet.
Right. But also,
We don't know what happened.
well, also I was just gonna say you just don't know how somebody's gonna react.
Right. It's like you can't really go by their
Yeah.
reaction, but she
But
was she was a psycho.
Right, and we know how it goes afterwards. So
Right.
yes, I
So
understand.
she voiced surprise that a bullet had hit Danny's spine and not his heart. She seemed more concerned about getting in touch with Nick rather than informing the children's father or asking about their conditions. And Diane talked a lot, too much for someone who suffered such a traumatic experience.
Right, but again,
We don't know
That's-
how someone's gonna act. That could be like her way of.
but also again,
Dealing.
we already
We
know,
know.
Right.
what had happened
Right.
was.
So Diane's story of the events. Diane's story of the events of that tragic night didn't hold up in forensic investigation. The blood spatters in the car did not match her vision of what occurred, and the gunpowder residue was not found where it should have been found. Like if someone was like. So like, basically, they knew that someone had to be in the car to shoot them and not
Yeah.
outside because of where the fuck it was.
Right.
People don't think about this, but whatever.
Right.
Diane's arm, although it broke when it was shot, obviously, they said it was superficial compared to
What
her
happened
other
to the
children.
kids?
Yeah, because she
Right.
was like, do, 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 do. And for her, she was like, do. What the fuck?
Did they say what kind of gun it was?
No, not yet.
Okay.
It was discovered, and she failed to admit. Here's your question. She failed to admit that she owned the .22 caliber handgun,
Oh.
which was the same type used at the crime scene.
Weird.
Man,
You kept saying, don't ruin it, so I didn't want to ruin it.
I forgot that I had that in my car.
Right. Oops, I forgot I own that.
oh, silly me.
So Diane had a fucking diary, and that they found
a fucking diary.
Listen, Diane and her dirty diary.
Did she write about it in her diary?
Listen.
Oh my fuck.
So it was found during the police search, and it helped piece together the motive that she would have for shooting her children. In her diary, she wrote that she was obsessively in love with Robert Knickerbocker, and particular interest was the parts about him not wanting to raise children. So she thought if she do her children that he would love her.
Mm-hmm. This does sound familiar.
Right?
I'm on the master sheet. I don't see it here. What's her last name?
I think it just sounds like the one that I did for the bonus. Remember that girl? And she killed her 3 children in the car.
It was 2 children, and that fucked me up. And I
yeah,
didn't like
because
that.
she let them roll off. She like strapped them in the car.
I know. I had to ask you to stop. That was the one episode that like actually scarred me.
Yeah, so that's why this sounds so familiar.
You're right. Oh, because that was for someone at work as well.
Yeah. And he didn't want children either.
Yes,
so she was
it was like the CEO's son or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/esoteric oddities, y'all. It's pretty fucked up. Wait, let me find out what episode that was so I can say it if people haven't listened.
Bonus Jonas.
That would have been bonus episode 19 if
love
y'all are
that.
on Patreon. I think.
That was like probably one of the best bonus episodes that I did.
It was in the worst possible way, yes.
Yeah. Well.
Yes. Okay. Continue.
So the police also found a fucking unicorn that Diane
What?
purchased days before the children were shot, and it had their names like inscribed on it, almost as if like she like bought it to be like my children died, but she bought it fucking days before.
Oh no.
Just a mess.
Oh my god.
Well, I guess she could have the defense probably could have said that, oh, she just got it for her kids, because then if you get it.
No, it was meant to be like a shrine for their memory.
Oh, it was
Okay.
like a memorial type
Yes.
of thing.
Oh, no. Okay.
Ma'am.
So a man,
Come on.
right? I'm saying she's just
Too
not
prepared.
smart. She said, "I just want this man."
Oh, no.
A man came forward and he said that he had to pass Diane on the road on the night of the shooting because she was driving so slow. This conflicted with Diane's story to police, in which she said she sped in terror to the hospital. But the most telling evidence was that her surviving daughter, Christy, who for months was unable to speak due to the stroke she suffered from the gunshots, during the times that Diane would visit her, Christy would show signs of fear and her vital signs would spike. When she was able to speak, she eventually told prosecutors that there was no stranger and that her mother fucking shot them.
Oh my god, that poor little fucking girl.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This
every
woman
day-
put her kids through the fucking ringer.
Every day, her mom would come in and she's like, you killed my siblings, but I physically can't talk.
Yeah.
And you have this story going.
So the other 2 siblings passed?
The one passed, the firstborn passed, this middle child, and then the son are still alive.
Okay.
But they were like in critical condition.
Oh my
The middle child had a stroke and she was like paralyzed.
Jesus.
So we all know that obviously Diane's getting arrested because
She fucking
she's
did
fucking caught. So prior to her arrest, Diane could feel that the investigation was closing in on her. She met with detectives to tell them something she had left out of her original story. She told them that the shooter was someone she may have known because he called her by her name. She's really just trying to get out of this.
She said, wait, one more thing.
Wait, but there's more.
Let me throw a wrench in it.
If the police did buy if the police did buy her story, it would have meant several more months of investigation. So she was trying to buy time, but they did not
Right.
believe her and instead suggested that she did it because her lover did not want children.
Right.
So on February 28th, 1984, after 9 months,
because she can't come back after all that and be like, you know what?
Right.
He might
I
have known
think-
me. He might have known me. He did say my name now that I remember.
Yeah, so on February 28th, 1984, after 9 months of investigation, Diane Downs, she's now pregnant again, and she was arrested and charged with murder, attempted murder, and criminal assault of her 3
in
children.
the middle of all that time was she able to get
Because
pregnant?
when you're doing investigations, they're not in jail.
Oh my god.
They're like free until
And that was probably part of her thing was like, if I get pregnant now and they take me to jail, like I have to give birth, which means I physically
out.
have to like go seek
Yeah.
help.
Well, during the months before Diane went to trial, she spent a lot of time being interviewed by reporters. Her goal was to strengthen the general public's sympathy for her, but it seemed to have a reverse reaction because her inappropriate responses to reporters' questions would lead people to be like, "What the fuck? This bitch is like not okay."
No. If she had like psychopathic tendencies, it's not really gonna go according to plan.
Okay, so instead of appearing like a mother destroyed by the tragedy, she appeared as narcissistic and strange, and like she appeared like she didn't care about what happened to her kids.
Right. It's like, why me? Why me? Why is this happening to me?
Right. You're talking a lot about you and not about your kid.
Right. Kind of like Casey Anthony.
Right. So the trial began on May 10th, 1984, and it lasted 6 weeks. The prosecutor was Fred Hugie, and he laid out the state's case, which showed motive, forensic evidence, witnesses which contradicted Diane's story to police, and finally an eyewitness, who was her own daughter, Christy, who testified
she fucking killed.
that it was Diane who was the shooter. Okay, I lied. I think the middle child died, and Christy lived.
Okay.
And the son lived.
Right.
On the defense side, Diane's lawyer, who was Jim Jagger, he admitted that his client was obsessed with Nick, but pointed to a childhood littered with incestuous relationships with her father as the reason for her, basically like her inappropriate behavior. After
did that like
incident.
come out in the investigation?
I guess so.
Why did I say it like country?
Investigate.
that actually
investigation
fell out of me. Watch this one Hannah Montana
Diane
episode.
had. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really know how true that is, though.
I don't know.
I would not be surprised.
She could have literally just claimed it, and then
That's
they
what I'm
really,
saying.
Wouldn't really have any evidence, but it
Right.
sounds like she's grasping for straws
Exactly,
here.
like at each point. So it doesn't really matter because the jury found her guilty on all charges on June 17th, 1984, and she was sentenced to life in prison.
1994.
1984.
So this happened within a year.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was the 90s right now.
No, it was the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Have I been saying the 90s the whole time?
I don't
been
know.
You
famous
said
for that.
1983.
Okay.
Before.
So she was sentenced to life in prison plus 50 years. It doesn't fucking stop there. This is where it gets
so extra though. Life in prison and then plus 50 years just in case you make it out this bitch.
Well, there were people who were having an argument that the one guy he actually like, I don't know if he went into cardiac arrest or if he had a heart attack or something. This recently happened, and he like actually
He
technically
died.
flatlined, and then he came back and he's like, well, my life sentence is over.
yeah.
So-
So they have to like
Well, you
Precaution.
know, we're just going to stack
Right,
them
my
on
first
here.
life is done. So renew me, bitch.
I'm saying so.
Interesting combo to have.
Right? That's so
Yeah.
crazy. I never heard of that.
I only heard about it because Murdup was talking about. I'm pretty sure Holly talked about it. She might not have. I don't know. I heard somebody talking about it recently.
That's like so crazy to think about.
I know.
In 1986, prosecutor Fred Hugie and his wife adopted Christy and Danny Downs. Now, Fred is he was like the defense
nice.
person. He wasn't Diane's lawyer. He was like
Right.
against her in court.
But he's doing what's right.
Right. So he adopted
Right.
her children.
Oh, that's so nice.
And then
So sweet.
Diane gave birth to her fourth child,
God.
who she named Amy in July of 1984. The baby was removed from Diane and was later adopted and given the new name Becky Babcock. Babadook.
with these middle names and nicknames, what have you.
So Rebecca was she was on the Oprah Winfrey Show on October 22nd, 2010, and she was on ABC's 2020 on July 1st, 2011, and she spoke of her troubled life and of the short time that she did communicate with Diane, that Diane changed her life around, and she had help that has determined that, like, the apple can fall far from the tree, but we all know that's a lie.
Is
I
she
don't know.
in touch with her other siblings? Like her half siblings?
No, but she is in touch with, should we turn that
Did that
on?
clock just get faster?
I heard that too. No, it's just the ghost in here.
We love that. Diana Downs' father, he denied the accusations of incest, and Diane later recanted that part of her story.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, well,
She's like, you know what,
he's
actually.
probably like, bitch, what?
Her father to this day believes that his daughter's innocent. He operates.
Wait, okay.
Listen, he operates a webpage, and he's offering $100,000 to anyone who can offer information that will completely exonerate Diana Downs and free her from prison.
Nobody's gonna do that.
Information. That's why.
Bitch.
Hold on to that 100,000.
Okay.
Sir.
Also on July 11, 1987, she fucking escaped from the Oregon Women's Correctional Center, but she was captured in Salem, Oregon 10 days later, and she received an additional 5-year sentence for escaping. So this bitch got life plus 55 years. Who knows?
She just snuck on out.
This is the last part, and then I'm done. So Diane was first eligible for parole in 2008, but during the hearing, she continued to say she was innocent. She said, and I quote, "Over the years, I have told you and the rest of the world that a man shot me and my children. I have never changed my story. Yet throughout the years, her story has changed continuously, from being one man to two men. At one point, she said the shooters were drug dealers, and later they were corrupt policemen involved in a drug distribution." So she was denied parole. In December 2010, she received a second parole hearing and again refused to take responsibility for the shooting. She again was denied, and under new Oregon law, she won't face a parole board until 2020, which is now, bitches. So Diane Downs, she's 65, I think, now.
Damn, she's young.
No, she's 64.
Oh.
And she's currently incarcerated in the Valley State Prison for Women in Chowchilla, California. And that is the story of Diane Downs. Or do you want her full name?
No, I don't. Fuck you,
Okay,
Diane.
right? So
You're
that's
a
her
bitch,
story, right?
and she's not going to get out.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing with the dad is probably like, you want to deny that your child is capable of something like that.
Right.
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like he probably is in total denial, especially because he lost a grandkid and this whole shitstorm has hit his family. So he probably has himself convinced that she didn't do it. But,
Exactly. And she's probably crazy, so she's probably like, I didn't do it. Why is it
right. But also, I don't know, maybe he's a couple bricks short of a Happy Meal too.
Okay.
Couple bricks. You
Never,
know what
Now
I'm
we're
trying to
speaking-
say.
you never know.
I wonder
Wow.
what the ex-husband had to say, like the one who got a vasectomy.
Right. He's like, well, thank God I did.
Right.
That's fucked up. Well,
Oh, God.
that's crazy.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's what she said.
Fuck that bitch.
Okay.
All right. Hi. My turn.
Hi.
Before I jump into it, I think Sarah, I don't know if I did tell you this. So Christmas morning, I wake up hella hungover.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there on my couch. So I stayed at my parents' house and I stayed in the basement. And I mean, like, they have a guest room and a second guest room, but that one's covered in yarn. So I just slept in the basement
Me.
because I was also pretty drunk and I was like, I don't care. Anywhere to rest will do. So I sleep in the basement. And, you know, sometimes basements there are spiders, right? So I wake up the next morning and I had an itch under my beard. And I was like, oh my God, a spider probably laid eggs in my
stop.
fucking
Ew.
face.
I lie.
So I start itching it and I told my mom, I was like, I got a spider bite right here. And like, you could see it and it looked like a bug bite. So she was like, oh no, that sucks. Do you want like something put on? I was like, no, it's fine. So then a couple minutes later, like the other side of my face starts itching and I'm like, bruh, what's going on? And it was like right here too. I was like, Mom, I think I got 2 spider bites. And then she looked at my face and she's like, you have one on your forehead. So I go to the mirror and I literally like symmetrically in the middle of my forehead have this big fucking bump on both sides under my beard, like near my ears. And then 2 right here below my mouth start forming.
God.
And the ones below my mouth were huge. They
Yeah.
were like the size of fucking like...
Do you have a picture?
No, I should have took one. And it honestly, like, because my beard covers a lot of it, like, you could feel it more than you could see
Right,
it.
yeah.
But my face fucking blew up. I had an allergic reaction to something.
Are you allergic to shrimp?
No, because
Okay.
I had shrimp later that day and I didn't have
I
it.
hate how you were
But
like,
here-
I might be allergic to shrimp. I'm going to eat it anyway.
I did. It was the holidays. I was like, if I have to go to the hospital, it's fine. But
wonder what
I don't know what it was
was.
because I didn't have
Yeah,
anything to eat.
Maybe
out
it
of
was
the
the
ordinary
spider
that
bite
morning.
that you were allergic to?
I don't know if it was a spider bite because here's the thing is I woke up and 2 hours after I woke up is when I felt it because I was like, ooh, my face itches.
Right,
And then I was like, oh shit, has this been here all morning? Because I haven't felt it and I had already washed my face that morning. So I
Yeah.
feel like I would have felt it. I don't fucking know, but I don't have allergic reactions. Last time I had a bad allergic reaction was to down pillows on Thanksgiving morning back
Down
in like
pillows.
Yeah.
He's allergic
Oh,
to feathers.
Shit.
yeah, I think I'm probably fine now, but we didn't know what it was because it was the first 2 nights we were in a hotel. I was just like,
Wait, I have feather pillows.
so I'm probably fine now
Yeah.
because they say and this was when I
Because you
was,
sleep with me.
I think I was in like 3rd grade. It was when we were visiting here when we lived in Chicago. But
Yeah.
I was just like, why the fuck am I having an allergic reaction? So I had to take a Benadryl and I got knocked the fuck out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so my Christmas day was me napping most of the time. And then texting strangers. Hi, guys. My story, I got a lot of my information from Phoenix New Times, Arizona Republic, and a 1992 article from People Magazine written by David Grogan and Forensic Files, Season 2, Episode 4, motherfuckers. Sorry. This is a story about Ruby Morris. So Ruby met Galen Earl Morris, known as Earl.
Galen?
Wait, he goes by his middle name too! Why Why didn't I put that together?
See, I don't know.
He also went by Rusty, but I'm not going to be calling him Rusty.
Stop. Not Rusty.
But in the People magazine article, they refer to him as Rusty. I'm going to call him Earl. His real name's Galen.
Who the
Probably
fuck
why
knows?
he goes by Earl. Who the fuck wants Galen?
So if anybody is listening named Galen,
I'm sorry.
maybe go by Earl.
Yeah.
You know, we love that name.
Galen Earl.
We love that name for you. So the two of them met at a Memphis bar in 1959. They instantly fell in love and soon became married.
Of course.
The
that's how it
couple,
goes.
right? The couple moved to Arizona, where Ruby and Earl built an accounting business.
Oh,
Okay.
They built it from the ground up, literally just the two of them with their own noggins.
The two of us.
Right. And their success of their business led them to become millionaires. So they soon moved to a place called Cave Creek. It is a suburb. Do you know where that is?
No,
Oh,
but
it
it
sounds
sounds
bougie.
scary.
Oh, no, but this was a bougie place. Right. It does sound a little spooky. Cave
Sounds like
Creek.
it should have like an echo at the end of it.
Cave Creek, Creek.
Welcome to Cave Creek.
Creek.
You won't be leaving.
Leaving.
So they moved to this. It's actually pretty bougie. It's a suburb just outside of Phoenix where school kids there scored above average on college submission tests.
Oh.
And zoning rules at the same time prevented Walmarts and fast food restaurants from polluting the, quote, Lux landscape.
Whoa.
So they were just like, hey, we're bougie. We don't want Walmarts. We don't want
want
people who can't
McDonald's.
afford. We don't want McDonald's. We don't want nothing.
We don't want your 4 for 4.
No.
We don't want your 4 for
Or your fucking broken ice cream machines.
Okay.
Thank you. So by 1989, the couple had been married for 25 years, and in addition to their large house on 5 acres, the couple had purchased a cabin cruiser, which is a boat, for those of you who do not know. And that was docked in San Diego, and they also owned a motorhome. They had 3 children who were now grown adults. They had a son named Randy and 2 daughters.
Randy?
A son named Randy.
Oh.
Did I say Durandi?
It sounded like Durandy.
Sorry.
A son named Randy.
A son named Randy. Sorry about that. And 2 daughters. So they had Cindy and Donna. And yes, that is Dawna. Donna.
Ew, I hate it.
Stop. So she was an aspiring country singer, and she was professionally known as Donna K. Wells, or just Donna K. So Earl was actually his 28-year-old country singing daughter Donna's manager. So she was 28. I think she was the oldest sister. I'm pretty sure. And on June 4th, 1989, Earl went to California to see Donna perform. She was living in LA at the time. So instead of joining her husband on the trip, Ruby made plans to go furniture shopping with their other daughter, 23-year-old Cindy. That's Cindy with an I at the end.
Oh.
And a Y at the beginning. If you just flip them.
Oh, no, I don't love that.
Cyndi. Sorry. That day, Cindy pulls up to her parents' house to pick up her mom. Dad had already left to go see Donna perform in LA. But when she went to go pick up her mom, she didn't come outside. So she's like, okay, cool. She goes inside and nobody was home. And it wasn't like her mom to not call or show up when she made plans. Remember, this is 1989. There were no cell phones. She couldn't like really quickly call her, or
Right.
you know, you would have to call a payphone or page somebody or try to locate somebody. So Cindy just assumes that her mom had just that maybe she just missed her mom and her mom actually left to go meet with her at the furniture store. Like, so she went back outside, but Ruby's yellow 1984 Cadillac was still in the driveway, but it was not in its usual spot. So Cindy looks around the house and she's calling out for her mom. But then she noticed that something was not right. The burglar alarm was turned off. Her mother's pocketbook was missing, and some things were out of place. There was a carpet shampoo cleaner that was left out, and dirty clothes were piled on top of the washing machine, which is a mess that her mother never would have left. In addition to that, the faucet in the bathtub was left dripping, and the .22 caliber pistol that was usually in their closet was missing.
Making a murder.
So Cindy's like, let me 911 real quick. So Cindy calls the cops, and then she calls her father, who was, again, in California at the time. Earl starts freaking out. He's just like, what do you mean you can't find your mom? And she's just like, look, I have no idea like where she is. Maybe don't freak out, but like I called the
Maybe
cops.
freak out.
They're on the way here. So Earl's just like, okay, I'm leaving immediately and I'll be there ASAP. So
Thank God they're millionaires.
Okay,
Right.
they could just private jet them.
Right.
So when police arrive, Cindy called her brother, Drandy. So Randy then jumps on his ATV and he decides to search the desert for their mother because that was like the surrounding area in Arizona. So after calling the police, Cindy went out on foot looking for her mother on the hills. She asked around literally every house. Nobody really knew or had
Did she
seen
check the
Ruby.
whole house?
Yes. So when Earl arrived, the father, police decided to speak with him, obviously. And he said, I mean, his relationship with his wife was good. They had their small arguments, but every couple does. It was nothing really out of the ordinary. And then he was like, nothing has happened that would have caused her to leave without saying anything.
Yeah, so
then
this is weird.
And to have carpet cleaner out and fucking pistols gone.
Okay.
So Earl then told investigators that when he was on his way back, his car actually ended up breaking down. So he had to rent a car to complete the trip. So officers look inside the back of his rented car and they found Earl's luggage with a tag on it from a recent flight from San Diego to Phoenix. So police at the same time, they just like noted it. They were like, if anything suspicious was in this car, we're going to write it down. They were like, well, we found this, so it's whatever. So then police decided to search the home. Didn't find much of any sort of foul play. But with minor suspicions, investigators used the flight information that was on the suitcase tag, and they got a list of passengers from that exact flight. But on that list of passengers, there was no Earl Morris.
Oh.
But there was a G. Norris, and as in Nancy Norris. So investigators then presented the flight attendants who were working that flight with a police lineup. It was like, I think it was like 6 men and one of them was Earl Morris.
Right.
And they were like, do any of these people, and they didn't let them know. They were like, any of these people look familiar at all? So one flight attendant recognized Earl specifically because she remembered the poor quality of his toupee. She was like, oh yeah, that's the man with the shitty toupee that we were making fun of in the back of the cabin.
Right.
So now knowing that he used a pseudonym created a new sense of suspicion. So investigators did a second search of the house. So this time they used our good friend luminol. I feel like everybody who's listening knows what luminol is. Basically, it's a chemical. You spray it onto something,
blood, right?
And then you do black light and it shows the blood. You know. So when they get to the bedroom, the luminol lit up on the headboard of the bed, displaying a very fine mist pattern. So forensic expert Lieutenant Rod Englert said that the only way this specific type of fine mist pattern occurs is from high velocity of a gunshot wound.
Also, putting 2 and 2 together here, the house wasn't flipped upside down. It had to be an inside job because why was the carpet cleaner was out, and it's not like the house was flipped upside down, and also the gun was gone, so it indicates that whoever was knew where this stuff was, because the house wasn't like flipped upside down. It was like
right.
They were like washing clothes. Let me
flawless.
Let me get this shit clean.
If it was someone like a stranger, also
like a robbery, you're thinking,
right? Then the house would be flipped upside down, trying to look for a gun and like whatever to clean it up.
But they also wouldn't bother cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they would
too.
go through great lengths to find carpet cleaner.
Also, the security system wouldn't have been turned off. It would have been tripped.
Right. So you're suspecting that it's the dad?
But it's
you
probably
think it might be Earl so far?
I do, but it's probably not. Because that's
The
too
daughter and him probably teamed up.
I'm just going to say
inevitable.
This story's got some twisties and turnies.
Doesn't yours always?
Strap in. So additionally,
strap
on, baby. So additionally, they found small blood stains on the surface of the mattress as well as inside the mattress. When they went to the bathroom where the bathtub was that the water had still been running, the bottom of the bathtub lit the fuck up.
Ooh.
Luminol also lit up blood outside of the master bedroom on a cement patio because it was a first floor bedroom that you could just go out to the patio. And also the master bedroom carpet. So they took DNA samples from the blood that they found and they sent it to a lab to be tested. Investigators obviously were like, we found these bloodstains, it's most likely Ruby's, but they did not have any of Ruby's DNA to compare it to. So usually what you can do is you can take the child's DNA or, a family member's, take their DNA, and if you get enough information, you can kind of tell.
Match it.
Yeah, you can usually figure out if they're related,
Right.
With the use of one of Ruby's 3 children, they could see that the bloodstain from the bedroom had come from one of these children's parents. But this is where it takes a bit of a turn.
Because they wouldn't give it, would they?
while testing, they noticed that their daughter Cindy, she was the one who entered first, Cindy's DNA matched Ruby's, but not Earl's DNA.
I was about to say, not the real daughter.
Okay.
Meaning Earl was not Cindy's biological father. So then they tested it on the other children. The oldest son, Randy, was tested. And again, Earl was not the biological father.
The Randy.
So DNA from the children did, however, match their grandfather.
What the fuck?
Ruby's father, Clyde Williams, was charged with incest after he impregnated Ruby when she was just 14.
What?
So back then, after giving birth to Randy, Ruby passed him off as her little brother until she married Earl. And Earl brought up the little boy as his own, and they kept it a secret. So none of these kids knew any of this. And Randy, who's now 37, imagine learning at 37 that all of this shit.
Yeah, but wait,
like you're
what's
a
with all the
product of
other
incest.
kids?
What?
All the other children.
What do you mean? Cindy?
Isn't there a Dawn?
Yes. So Cindy also had no idea she was a product of incest as well. Donna, however, was the only one who had both her mother and her father's DNA.
So the son had
Randy.
the dad,
But does
the
he-
grandfathers.
The grandfathers, yes.
Yeah, but there had to be another incident where
Right, there
incest
was.
happened. Where?
But why doesn't he remember Ruby bringing him up as the little brother, and then that transition to son?
Right. They didn't really. They didn't get into many details of it. Randy, the son, did believe that Ruby was his mother. Oh. This was like when he was too young.
Oh, okay.
Her dad made him set it up. Yeah, the father, Clyde. So then when he gets older, he didn't know that his grandfather was his father. That was the secret.
That's
Rich people be
up.
incestuous.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, she wasn't rich then.
Because they want to keep it in the family.
She wasn't. This was when she was a kid.
Right.
She didn't grow up in a rich
She
family.
didn't come from
Right.
I see.
So then
I
Cindy.
take back my statement.
So then Cindy tells investigators another family secret. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Her father, Earl, well, who's not really her father, Earl was having an affair with Ruby's own sister, Peggy.
What the fuck?
They keep it in the family
Okay.
here. So one time, Cindy and Ruby caught Earl with Ruby's sister, Peggy, in the Phoenix airport. Peggy had just landed on a flight from Louisiana where she had secretly flown to Phoenix to see Earl. Ruby's like, bro, what the fuck is going on here? And Earl was like, it's nothing. I'm just trying to pork your sister. And also, I'm not going to stop trying to pork your sister. So then it kind of got aired out. He denied it at first, but then he didn't say, yes, we're porking, but he was just like, I'm not going to say no.
But we...
Right. So now this situation's going on. So keep that airport situation in mind because it will come back. So investigators look into it. And as it turns out, Peggy, who was Ruby's sister, had planned a vacation to San Diego where that luggage was going. That same weekend, Earl was there to see Donna perform in LA. That same weekend, Ruby went missing. So investigators go to San Diego and they find Earl's brown pickup truck at the airport in the parking lot. So it looked clean, but they used luminol and it showed a massive blood stain in the passenger side on the floor carpet. And they said the stain was so large that the individual it came from is most likely dead from blood loss. So then they take the DNA and the DNA blood stain from the bedroom and links it to Ruby. Okay? So now they know that Ruby's blood is in the bedroom. Ruby's blood is in the truck. Right. So now they start poking around and they're like, okay, we know that the Morris family has a boat.
Okay. Oh.
And the boat is in San Diego. So they're like, okay, let's go check out this marina. So they go there. And when they speak to marina employees, they find out that Earl was there on his boat on June 3rd, June 4th, the day Ruby had been reported missing. So police are like, okay, well, let's search the boat.
Fucking Galen.
Well, when they go to the marina, the fucking boat was missing. So
he said, I'm just going to
let
it sail out.
So police contact the Coast Guard to look for this missing boat. And the Coast Guard's like, hey, yeah, totally. It's no problem at all. Also, you might want to know this little piece of information. A few like days ago, there was a boat that seemed to match the description of Earl's missing boat. And it was found on fire 13 miles out from the shoreline. Right. And that bitch...
Torch that bitch.
That bitch sank. So we don't have it. So then they reviewed a news helicopter that had captured the footage while the fire was going. And it showed a really unusual pattern of fire that looked like the fire had started from the center of the boat, not from the engine room or the fuel compartment, which is where boat fires usually start from. So investigators then find out that Earl had rented a small boat that morning. Basically, it was a dinghy that you would bring onto a larger boat, or you could tow behind.
Set the shit on fire, got back on.
Well, I don't know. This is just what they're finding out. So they did find a paper that he did rent out a small dinghy at 9:15 a.m. and returned it around noon the same day, which was around the time when the Coast Guards discovered the burning boat. So now police are really starting to think that Ruby's body was on that boat that sank to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. So they arrest Galen Earl Morris. So
Galen.
I know.
Galen.
In 1991, Earl was on trial for the murder of his wife, Ruby Morris. The first challenge that the state had was that they had to construct a case without a body in order to convince the jury. They also did not have the murder weapon. Right. But they did have some DNA evidence. Again, this is 1991, where forensic evidence was not well understood by the public at all.
Yeah.
Which is why if you watch old episodes of Forensic Files, like this one in particular, but like even season 1, they push so hard to, it sounds like they're trying to sell you something, like they're trying to convince you that forensic evidence is so important because this is the way that people were learning, is by watching these shows and being like, oh shit, this is kind of how it works. This is kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Because it had never been like heard of before. And it's like, wow, science, crazy, right? So I love when you're watching it and they try to explain what a GPS is. They're
God.
A GPS, a global positioning system. So according to the prosecution, Earl Morris entered, this is the story they're piecing together for the jury. Earl entered the master bedroom on the morning of Saturday, June 4th, 1989. He used the .22 caliber from their closet. He shot his sleeping wife in the head. He dragged her body to the bathroom where he removed her clothes, washed away the blood from her body, then scrubbed the bloody sheets, washing away any blood from the headboard and the carpet. He then dressed Ruby in a jogging suit, covered the bullet hole in her head with a baseball hat, and carried her out to the garage. Earl then placed her body into the passenger side seat of his car since he did not have a trunk. He then returned to the bathroom and scrubbed the tub clean.
He didn't use bleach.
Right, he's dumb.
Well, he cleaned it, but the luminol still showed up.
Won't it show up regardless of how much you clean?
Yeah,
it'll like.
Right, and if
it's
there
like
is
fucking when people test your hair for marijuana, like that shit doesn't go away.
Right. So he then drove nearly 400 miles to San Diego. He stopped once for gas. Nobody noticed his dead wife in the car. He pulled into the marina. He lifted Ruby, some bloody sheets, and the .22 caliber pistol into the family boat, along with a lantern and gasoline. He rented a smaller boat and set out to sea, towing the small boat that he had rented behind him. So once he was 13 miles offshore, he drenched the boat with gas and got into the smaller rented boat and then lit the lantern and tossed it onto the boat. The boat goes up in flames, and then he left the scene before being spotted by the Coast Guard. Mm-hmm. When Earl took the stand in court, he had a surprising defense. He admitted to driving his wife's dead body to San Diego, placing her on the boat and lighting it on fire.
What the fuck?
But he said he didn't murder her. He claimed that she had committed suicide. He found her laying in the bed with a gunshot wound to her left temple, and the .22 caliber pistol was on the bed next to her.
No. Why wouldn't you have called the cops?
Right. She had, according to him, felt guilty her husband wasn't the father of her two grown children, and she became depressed over Earl's admitted affair with sister Peggy.
No, Peggy shot her.
Just going to say, Peggy, to this point, has denied ever having a relationship with Earl.
Mm-hmm.
So,
fucking Galen.
Fearing that he would be blamed, he decided to dispose of her body.
Light her up on fire in our boat. It's going to be fine.
So obviously his defense worked against him. considering the fact that investigators only had circumstantial evidence when they created the story. So they were like, this is going to be so hard because we don't have anybody who saw her body. We only have this forensic evidence. It's 1991. It's going to be hard to tell people that this DNA evidence, like, because people were skeptical. They were like, what if it doesn't work? What if technology isn't working? Like, how do you know that this innocent man isn't going? But they didn't have anybody who said, yes, she died. Yes, I saw her dead body.
Yeah.
But now he just said that. So the forensic evidence, however, also didn't support the story of suicide because Ruby was right-handed and she would not have held the temple of the long barrel gun to her left temple. That statement can be argued because I feel like right-handed people can use their left hand sometimes. Yeah. So that statement can be argued. However, what can't be argued was the luminol that lit up on the headboard.
On the other side, probably.
There were 2 gunshots. So a dead person doesn't shoot themselves twice.
Idiot.
So after a 6-week trial, the jury found Earl guilty of murder.
Look at that.
He was convicted of murder and sentenced to 25 years to life and additionally fined $205,000 for court and investigation charges. So Earl...
I feel like that's unheard of. I've never heard people...
Getting fined for that? Yeah, I'm not sure how things work in Arizona. So Peggy, the sister-in-law who went to her grave denying that she had ever had an affair with him, she ended up dying in 2003. She was buried next to the grave spot marked for Ruby, who, again, her body was never found, probably at the bottom of the ocean. As for the children, Cindy Morris is married and allegedly still living in Cave Creek. Randy Morris has also remained in Arizona, and he told a columnist that when they were younger, Earl Morris had never cared much about him or Cindy because they were not pursuing high-paying professions. He, in retrospect, believes it's because he knew that they weren't his kids. Yeah. And then there's their country singing sister, Donna, who was the only blood-related child to Earl, and it was also Earl's favorite. But Donna remained faithful to her mother. So I'm going to rewind a little bit because she ended up on the Maury Povich show, and she talked about the murder in this case because as I'm telling the story...
Wait, like Maury?
Yes.
Woo!
So as I'm telling, like, I've been talking mostly about the 2 kids, the Cindy and
we haven't heard about Donna.
We haven't heard too much about Donna and what was going on when she was involved in this case because he was supposed to be out there with her. So this was a big question mark that they left out of the Forensic Files episode, but I get it. There's only so much you can cover in the short show. So there's this People magazine interview, I believe is from 1992. So this would have been the year after he was sentenced. So Donna ends up turning on her father. And in the People magazine interview, Donna talked about what happened when her father arrived and which according to the timeline would have been almost immediately after he burned the boat. So Earl and Donna that day, we're bringing it back. Earl and Donna that day were scheduled to meet with a concert booking agent. He had not yet arrived to her Hollywood apartment, but she did receive a phone call from her sister, Cindy. So at the time, crying hysterically, after she explained that their mother was missing, Cindy said to her sister Donna, quote, "I'm worried. I think Dad had something to do with her." Or I'm sorry, quote, "I'm worried. I think Dad did something to her." End quote. So a phone call comes in the other line on call waiting. It was their father. What the fuck would you do? Your sister's on the line saying, like, Mom's missing. I think Dad did something. And then he's on the other line. Like, my heart would have been in my asshole. It's Galen. Right. But also, they didn't have caller ID. So she probably didn't know it was him. So when she found out, she was probably like, oh, fuck. So Earl told Donna his 1985 El Camino had broken down en route to LA, which is what he told police had happened on his way back. Remember? Yeah. So he asked her to cancel their meeting with the booking agent. So then Donna does that and she flies to Phoenix the next day, and the siblings had met at the parents' home several hours before Earl had even arrived. And after he talked to the police, he talked to the kids. And in this People interview, Donna said, quote, talking about her father, he said he thought Mom had left him, and then he simply stopped talking, end quote. And that night, Donna Kay stayed alone in the house with her father. She said, again, quote, "I kept asking about Mom, and he stared off into space. It was scary. I slept on the couch and kept a fire poker next to me," end quote. So Donna then revealed a possible motive for the murder, which again is something Forensic Files didn't really touch on. Because I'm like, okay, yeah, we have all this evidence, but
like,
what would
what's
it be
the motive?
What was the reason?
Yes.
Right? So remember when Cindy and Ruby caught Earl with Peggy in the airport?
Yes.
And I said, y'all remember this? Well, wasn't that a very loud public argument? Yes, it was. So Ruby starts yelling at Earl in front of everybody, poking him in the chest with her finger.
Oh, that would annoy me.
Saying that she wanted a divorce.
I want a divorce.
Yes, and telling him that a 50-50 split of their assets, which was nearly $2 million at the time in the 80s.
Shit.
That she said a 50-50 split will not do. She screamed, quote, "I want 3/4." End quote. And then hinted that if Earl didn't accept the terms, she might turn him in to the IKS for filing fraudulent tax returns. So here we have a motive as, oh, this lady wants to take 3/4 of my $2 million.
And if she doesn't, she's going to blackmail me.
Right. Well, she did blackmail. If she doesn't, she's going to I'm going to go to jail for fraud.
Right. But why wouldn't she go to jail? Isn't it her company?
I mean, they built the company together, but I'm sure it had one sole proprietor.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, technically, it depends on who was doing it. I don't really know. But if she would have turned him in,
she probably knew her shit enough that she wasn't going to get in trouble.
Exactly. So Earl had since assured Donna that he and Ruby had patched things up. Again, in this interview, she said, quote, "He told me that maybe he married the wrong sister 30 years ago, but he said, I'll always be with your mom." End quote. After Earl's arrest, Donna won Song of the Year and a Video of the Year nomination from the California Country Music Association for a number titled "Burn One For Me." Not sure if that was the most appropriate title for your thing, but in her video, a wooden bridge is set ablaze, and she said about it, "It's a song about a woman who is having trouble letting go of a guy, sort of like how I had trouble letting go of my father." So I'm going to wrap things up here, and I'm just going to take the last quote. This is a direct quote from the Phoenix New Times article that I had read. So all this shit show is going on, right? And it sucks. There's a lot of moving parts here, but you got to remember that Ruby she went through some shit. Right. So this is what the end of this article says, quote, "Ruby Charlene Williams Morris, who, despite being saddled with a disloyal sister, depraved father, and sleazy husband, achieved success as an entrepreneur and brought up 3 nice children who loved her."
Yeah.
And that is the story of Ruby Morris.
What the literal fuck? I don't know what I thought at first, but I did not see
I can't believe they never found her body.
Never.
Because it was fucking torched up in the boat.
Yeah.
I like how
but he's so stupid.
Okay, he did so much stupid
shit. He didn't do anything to like cover his tracks. Nothing.
No, he rented a whole boat. He said this
left
is
the car in the wrong place.
But here's another thing, that if this would have happened years before forensic evidence, he would have got away with it.
He would have got off.
Because somehow he literally, like, their carpet was light. He cleaned the car. There was no
that also made me... Well, he probably fucking called in cleaners because he's a millionaire. He's probably
didn't, though. He had the carpet cleaner that was left out. Yeah.
He said, I'm going to get this shit.
Also, I don't know why I'm noting this, but their bathtub had like tiles at the bottom of it, and the side of it, they show it in the episode, and it's like, I was like, ew, it's like grout. I was like, how the fuck did he clean all that? Because that shit's porous. One, two. Why would you build a tub with that? Yeah, it just doesn't seem hella sanitary. Yeah, it doesn't look like a comfortable tub. It was boxy too. It was not contorted. I was
Can I see a picture of it?
Yeah, I will show you a picture of it. So yeah, that's the story.
Do you have a twit of the week?
Oh, I have a fun fact. I have a tweet of the week on my phone. So my fun fact is that snails can sleep for over 3 fucking years.
I wish I was a snail. My fun fact.
What?
I wish I was a snail. Legit, I can't even sleep past 8. A single strand of spaghetti is called a spaghettio.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I love that.
I'll do my tweet of the week.
Okay.
This tweet of the week is from @JessB. Dating apps be like, Matt, 30, financial analyst, enjoys craft beer and hiking. Matt, 33, holding a dead fish. Let's eat some pizza and watch The Office. Matt, 28, if you don't work out, we won't work out. Go Birds, 6'1", because apparently that matters.
If you don't work out, we won't work out. I love that.
There's more.
Oh,
Matt, 26, is wrong about the jump, and A. Ramsey can't. That's my tweet of the week.
I love that. I don't have one. I thought I had one saved.
That's okay. I usually don't have one.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening.
We have an announcement.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to end it there.
No, I was just going to say we just have something to say.
I'll go first. Okay. So, starting in the new year, I'll be just stepping back a little bit with the podcast to focus on my mental health and just things that I need to do. I'll still be on it, but I won't be doing a lot of research. I'm not really in the place, and I want to give you guys the best material, and I don't feel like I am right now. So, yeah, I'll just be taking like a little step back, but it'll be fine. I'll still be here, and you'll still hear my annoying ass voice.
So yeah, we are both going to take a little bit of a break. I don't know how long it's going to be for. It's not going to be forever, but in the new year, if you guys have to take a break from whatever you're doing too,
I think that's like
do it.
Yeah.
Rest your bodies.
Right. It's so fine. Like, you take care of your damn self. And I mean, like, Sarah, we've been doing this for 2 years. Over that. We've been doing it for 2.5 years. And like, I know in some aspects that seems like not that long of a time, but I recently drunkenly went on YouTube Live on Christmas night. I probably shouldn't have done that.
YouTube has a live?
Yeah. And I was dead on a live. But I just kind of talked about it a little bit there, about how a lot of people don't know how much work it
goes
is.
into it.
Yeah, when we do it, because it's a lot of I mean, my case today that I'm looking at was 7 pages of research. So it's not just that we sit down and we record it. Sarah and I have lives outside of the podcast. We love doing it. Don't get us wrong.
It's not that we don't.
It's so much.
It's taxing.
To do.
It's
a lot.
mentally taxing talking about morbid things.
Yeah,
all the time. It's fun.
Right.
Right.
It's
definitely
100%. It is. So that being said, Patreon, you're still gonna be continuing to get your stuff. But I can't give you a date. Like, I can't say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Well, because
that's what happened last year. I feel like we gave it a date and we weren't ready, but we did it anyway. So this time we're just letting our bodies basically decide.
Yeah. I agree. And I think it's not that we're falling out of love with it, but at least, like, for me, it becomes
more of a chore.
Right. And I don't want it to be like that. Because when I sit and I record, it's
enjoyable.
So fun,
yeah.
But it's just the before and the after that is so much more work than just the hour and a half that we sit here and talk.
Yeah, it's like the 5 days a week spent researching. Right. And then it's like, if you miss one thing, you feel like you're basically like judged for it. Not that you guys have, but I feel like myself, like I'm not doing a good job because I missed like one little thing.
Right.
And like, that's just like,
and
it's like because I don't have time or you know, whatever the case may be that week.
Yeah. And I just want to, I mean, we started doing this because this is what we would talk about when we didn't have microphones in front of our faces. So I just want to like keep that good spirit as we go forward and do it. So if y'all are feeling like you're working on something really hard and you're just falling out of love with it, maybe like take a break from it because
come back.
Give yourself time to fall back in love with it. And
I need to take several naps.
Take a 3-year nap like the snail.
Okay.
But truly, like I just received a very nice email.
We did,
so Amanda, if you're listening, thank you so much. And that email was so nice and it made both of our day. And we actually have received it when we're recording this episode. So thanks, Amanda, for your kind words. And thank you all for like being hella
always
supportive
and every Monday being like, where's the episode? That made me feel, that made us feel really wanted and like our stuff was great.
So we do appreciate it. But this is our last episode of 2019 and this is going to be our last episode for a little bit. So this isn't goodbye.
It's just a see you later.
I hated it. So corny.
Don't stop listening because we're not stopping forever.
Right.
But
don't unsubscribe. I just can't give you a date at the moment.
Yeah.
And through social media, I mean, I think you guys if maybe couldn't tell, but I don't know if you could tell that even the social media is kind of falling off a bit, but we're going to jump back on it. I just want it to be 100%. I want better quality equipment. I want better shit. So
we're just pausing it.
Yeah. So thank you, Kiko, for being here with us.
Thank you for the last episode of 2019.
Yes. Thanks for dealing with my sick ass.
We love your
sick
ass.
Hear my
And thank you guys for always supporting us. And we hope you have a fantastic new year.
Yes. And a fantastic 2020.
Right. Make some resolutions if you're not into resolutions.
Make some goals.
Make some more time for you.
Okay.
Yes, do it. And if you're a person who goes to the gym normally, don't get mad at the people who are just, they're going to fall off. Just like let the people try to be their best lives.
Right. They're going to be great.
Be mad?
2020, just mind your own business.
Okay.
Just keep it pushing.
Keep it moving.
We love that.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.